Earth's first deep space expedition vessel, the HFY Pioneer, launched with high hopes and dreams of peaceful contact with alien civilizations. Captain Ethan Reeves stood on the bridge, watching as the stars streaked past the viewscreen. The Pioneer represented humanity's greatest achievement, a ship capable of faster-than-light travel, designed to explore beyond our solar system. "Captain, we're detecting unusual energy signatures ahead," said Lisa Nguyen, the ship's diplomatic officer. Her dark eyes narrowed as she studied the readings. "Nothing like we've ever seen before." Ethan moved to her station, examining the data. "How far?" "Less than 30 minutes at current speed. Whatever it is, it's massive." The bridge crew worked with focused efficiency as they approached the anomaly. When they dropped out of FTL Drive, a collective gasp filled the room. Before them floated an enormous space station, surrounded by ships of various designs and sizes. "My God," whispered Ethan, "we're not alone." Within hours, the Pioneer established basic communication with what they learned was a federation of species called the Galactic Concord. The alien vessels escorted them to the station, where Ethan and Lisa led a small delegation to meet with Concord representatives. The main chamber of the station dwarfed them. 7 different alien species sat at a semicircular table, studying the humans with expressions ranging from curiosity to obvious disgust. "We welcome you, Earth beings," said the central figure, a tall, gray-skinned creature with 4 arms. "I am Overseer Ziltor of the Galactic Concord." Lisa stepped forward. "We come in peace and friendship, hoping to learn from you and share what we know." The aliens conferred among themselves in a series of clicks and whistles their translators couldn't process. Finally, Ziltor spoke again. "Your species is unknown to us. You will submit to testing and evaluation before any further interaction." The tests lasted 3 days. The humans provided biological samples, technological demonstrations, and historical records. During this time, they learned more about the Concord, a federation of 23 species that controlled most of the known galaxy. On the 4th day, they were summoned back to the chamber. The atmosphere felt colder, more hostile. "Humans," Ziltor announced, "your evaluation is complete. Your species demonstrates concerning characteristics. You are highly adaptable, technologically advancing at an alarming rate, and most troubling, you possess unusual radiation tolerance far exceeding Concord norms." "These are simply our natural traits," Ethan explained. "We mean no harm." A smaller reptilian alien hissed, "We have seen your history. War, destruction, aggression. And now you bring these tendencies to space. Every species has a violent past," Lisa argued. "We've evolved beyond that." "Perhaps," said Ziltor. "But the Council cannot take that risk. Earth will be placed under quarantine. No human vessels will be permitted beyond your solar system. Violation will result in immediate destruction." Ethan stepped forward. "You can't just lock us away. We have the right to explore space just like any other species. The decision is final. You will be escorted back to your solar system." The Pioneer departed under escort of 3 Concord warships. Once they reached the edge of the solar system, the aliens transmitted quarantine beacons to mark the boundary. "We can't accept this," Ethan told his officers in an emergency meeting. "They're imprisoning our entire species based on prejudice." "The Concord outmatches us technologically," Lisa said, "but they seem to fear our radiation tolerance. That might be something we can use." Ethan nodded. "Set course for Earth. We need to warn everyone." But as the Pioneer changed direction, the Concord ships opened fire without warning. The first volley crippled their engines. The second hit the crew quarters. Half the crew died instantly. The survivors managed to limp back to Earth, carrying both a warning and the first shots of what would become an interstellar conflict. Humanity had reached the stars only to find them already claimed by those who saw humans not as equals, but as a threat to be contained. The return of the damaged HFY Pioneer sent shockwaves through Earth. The survivors' testimony about the Galactic Concord and their unprovoked attack united humanity in a way nothing had before. Within weeks, former rival nations signed the Earth Defense Alliance Treaty. We face an enemy that views our very existence as a threat. Admiral William Carter addressed the first EDA Council meeting. The weathered naval officer pointed to images of the Concorde ships. They have technology centuries beyond ours, but they also have a weakness. They fear our natural radiation tolerance. The Council appointed Carter to lead military preparations. Dr. Olivia Ramsey, a brilliant physicist who had helped develop the Pioneer's engines, was tasked with weapons development. The Pioneer brought back more than just survivors, Olivia explained as she led the Admiral through her new underground laboratory. We salvaged components from the Concorde's weapons. Their technology is advanced, but not incomprehensible. Teams of scientists worked day and night studying the alien tech. The most critical discovery came 3 months later when Olivia's team identified how Concorde sensors detected spacecraft. They don't use radar or traditional methods, Olivia told the EDA Council, excitement making her usually calm voice tremble. They track energy signatures and radiation patterns. And here's the key. They can't properly calibrate for the radiation levels humans can withstand. This insight led to breakthrough technology. Stealth ships with special radiation shielding that confused alien sensors. The EDA began constructing a fleet in secret facilities built into the Moon and Mars. While the military built up, intelligence operations began. Lieutenant Commander Jack Daniels, a former Special Forces operator with a scar running across his left cheek, was selected to lead the first covert mission beyond the quarantine line. Your objective is information gathering only, Admiral Carter briefed Jack and his team of 6. The Pathfinder is our most advanced stealth vessel. It will get you past their sensors, but if you're visually spotted, there's no backup coming. The night before launch, Jack found Olivia making final adjustments to the ship's stealth systems. "Do you think this will actually work?" he asked her. She didn't look up from her calibrations. "The theory is sound. Their technology has a blind spot when it comes to our radiation signatures. We're exploiting that. And if you're wrong." Now she did look up, her tired eyes meeting his. "Then you'll be the first to let us know. Probably the last too." The Pathfinder launched during a solar flare to mask its energy signature. It slipped past the quarantine beacons without detection. Jack's team spent 3 weeks mapping Concorde patrol patterns and monitoring communication frequencies. They discovered something unexpected. The Concorde wasn't as unified as it appeared. Several times they intercepted transmissions suggesting internal conflicts among member species. The most valuable discovery came near the edge of a distant star system. Jack ordered the Pathfinder to follow a small alien transport to an uncharted planet. There, they observed mining operations using what appeared to be slave labor. "Those don't look like Concorde species," observed Sonia Miller, the team's xenobiologist. "The Concorde may be subjugating other races." When they returned to Earth, their information transformed the resistance strategy. Humanity wasn't just fighting for itself. There were potential allies out there. Admiral Carter stood before the expanded EDA Council, which now included civilian leaders and scientists like Olivia. "We have a path forward," he said firmly. "The Concorde is powerful, but not invincible. They have weaknesses, divisions, and enemies. We'll build our forces in secret, develop our technology, and when the time comes, we'll break this quarantine." The Council voted unanimously to increase funding. Construction began on a hidden shipyard in the asteroid belt, away from Concorde observation posts. Humanity's resistance was taking shape, preparing for a war they hadn't started but were determined to win. The Pathfinder's success emboldened the Earth Defense Alliance. Using data collected by Jack Daniels' team, they identified a radiation-heavy planet in the unclaimed frontier zone, just beyond Concorde territory. This planet, which humans would name Nova Haven, was perfect for their needs, rich in resources but considered uninhabitable by the radiation-sensitive Concorde species. The colony mission launched in secret. 5 stealth ships carried 2,000 carefully selected colonists, engineers, scientists, soldiers, and their families. Maria Blackwell, a former urban development director with experience in harsh environments, led the civilian contingent. "Our goal isn't just survival," Maria told the colonists during the journey. "We're building humanity's first foothold among the stars, a place where we can develop our strength beyond the Concorde's watchful eyes." The ships landed on Nova Haven's northern continent, where mountains provided natural shelter. The planet's purple sky and strange vegetation were alien, but the air was breathable with filtration. Most importantly, the background radiation that permeated everything would keep the Concorde away. The first weeks were difficult. Colony pods and essential infrastructure had to be established quickly. The radiation, while tolerable to humans, still required protective measures for long-term health. Everyone worked around the clock, knowing discovery could come at any time. Science Director Alan Pierce oversaw the adaptation of Earth technology to the planet's unique conditions. A brilliant but eccentric man who spoke to his equipment, Alan made a critical discovery during the second month. "It's fascinating," he explained to Maria as they stood in his makeshift lab. "The radiation here doesn't just harm the Concorde species, it disrupts their technology too. But human biology allows us to create systems that function perfectly here." This insight led to a revolutionary approach. Instead of fighting against Nova Haven's radiation, they began designing systems that harnessed it. Alan's team developed radiation-enhanced weapons and shields that drew power from the environment itself. "We're not just hiding anymore," Alan said during a colony council meeting. "We're evolving." 6 months after landing, the colony's early warning system detected approaching ships. 3 Concorde scout vessels had entered the system, conducting what appeared to be a routine patrol. "They haven't spotted us yet," reported Defense Coordinator Frank Wilson as he studied the sensor readings. "But they're following a course that will bring them directly over the settlement." Maria faced a difficult choice: power down everything and hope the scouts passed by, or prepare to defend the colony and reveal their presence. She chose the latter. "We knew this day would come," she told the defense team. "Let's show them what we've learned." The colonists activated their radiation-enhanced defense grid. When the Concorde ships came within range, they launched a targeted electromagnetic pulse specifically calibrated to disrupt Concorde systems. The effect was immediate. 2 scout ships lost power completely, while the third managed only partial control. Colony defenders, wearing radiation-enhanced battle suits, boarded the disabled vessels. The Concorde crews, already weakened by the planet's radiation, surrendered quickly. This first victory, though small, proved crucial. Examination of the captured ships provided invaluable intelligence about Concorde technology. The prisoners, once they realized humans weren't going to execute them, revealed important information about Concorde patrol schedules and communication protocols. Most significantly, the colonists learned they weren't the only ones resisting Concorde authority. Other species had established hidden outposts in the frontier zone, each struggling alone against the overwhelming power of the galactic Concorde. "We need to contact these other resistors," Maria announced after reviewing the intelligence. "The Concorde keeps us isolated because they fear what would happen if we united." Nova Haven sent a transmission to Earth with their findings. The response came quickly. "Proceed with caution. Find allies. Build strength. Earth will be ready when the time comes." The hidden colony had moved from a desperate gamble to humanity's greatest hope. On this radiation-soaked world that no one else wanted, humans were turning their greatest disadvantage into their strongest weapon. The EDA Council debated for weeks about how to approach potential alien allies. They finally selected Samuel Collins, a former ambassador with experience in conflict resolution, to lead the diplomatic initiative. His first target, the Draxians, a reptilian species mentioned repeatedly in the intelligence gathered from Nova Haven. "We know the Draxians have been fighting the Concorde for decades," Samuel explained to his small team aboard the stealth vessel Shadow Whisper. Our scans show their main resistance base is hidden in an asteroid field near the Cygnus Rift. The journey was tense. Even with stealth technology, traveling this deep into contested space was dangerous. When they finally reached the asteroid field, they found it heavily mined and protected by automated defense systems. "We need to signal our peaceful intentions without triggering their defenses," Samuel said. They broadcast a simple message on frequencies captured from Concord communications. "Enemies of the Concord, we seek alliance." For 3 days, there was no response. Then, without warning, the Shadow Whisper was caught in a tractor beam and pulled into a massive hollow asteroid. Armed reptilian figures surrounded them as they docked. Samuel stepped out with his hands visible. "I represent humanity. We also fight the Concord." The Draxian leader, a scared female with vibrant orange scales, studied him suspiciously. "Humans, you are quarantined. How did you get here?" "The same way you hide from Concord patrols," Samuel smiled. "We found their weaknesses." This meeting marked the beginning of a careful alliance. The Draxians had been fighting alone for generations, pushed from their homeworld by Concord expansion. Their knowledge of Concord tactics was extensive, but they lacked the technical innovations humans had developed. While Samuel worked with the Draxians, intelligence officer Natalie Graves led a different mission. Quiet and methodical, Natalie had been analyzing Concord communications for patterns. Her team infiltrated an abandoned Concord outpost and accessed their historical database. "The Concord isn't the benevolent federation they claim to be," Natalie reported after returning to Nova Haven. "They've been systematically identifying and subjugating species they deem potentially dangerous for centuries. Any civilization with rapid technological advancement or unique biological abilities is either forcibly integrated or quarantined." This information changed everything. Humanity wasn't singled out. They were simply the latest in a long line of species the Concord had tried to control. With this knowledge, Samuel expanded his diplomatic efforts. The Shadow Whisper traveled from hidden base to secret colony, contacting other subjugated species. The Valkyrie, with their advanced bioengineering. The Solani, masters of solar energy technology. The Nimbari, whose sensor jamming techniques complemented human stealth systems. Ambassador Diana Wright, who joined Samuel's team, proved especially adept at navigating the complex politics of these potential allies. A former conflict mediator, Diana recognized that centuries of isolation had bred distrust among these species. "We need more than common enemies to unite," she argued during a tense meeting with representatives from 5 species. "We need shared principles." Diana drafted what would become the Liberty Alliance Charter, establishing mutual defense and knowledge sharing, while respecting each species' autonomy. The first signing ceremony was held in Nova Haven's Central Dome, with representatives from 7 species present. Meanwhile, the Concord remained oblivious to these developments. Their High Council dismissed reports of unusual activity in the frontier zone. According to intelligence gathered by Natalie's team, one Concord leader noted, "These primitive species lack the capacity for meaningful cooperation. Their isolation ensures they remain insignificant." This underestimation gave the Liberty Alliance precious time to grow. Each species contributed their unique technologies and knowledge. Humans shared their radiation-enhanced systems, while learning bioengineering from the Valkyrie and energy manipulation from the Solani. Communication networks were established, allowing coordinated movement throughout Concord blind spots. Supply chains formed, moving resources and people between hidden bases. Training programs began, preparing mixed species crews to operate together. When the Shadow Whisper returned to Earth with news of the Alliance, Admiral Carter nodded in satisfaction. "The Concord thinks they've contained us," he said, "but they've only forced us to make more friends." The Liberty Alliance grew stronger in secret for 18 months. During this time, humans and their new allies conducted small raiding operations, testing Concord defenses and gathering intelligence. Each mission provided valuable data and equipment while keeping their true strength hidden. Commander Ryan Frost stood on the bridge of the EDA flagship Defiance, reviewing the final attack plans. A former naval strategist known for unconventional thinking, Ryan had been chosen to lead the first major strike against the Concorde. "All ships report ready, Commander," said his executive officer. Ryan nodded. "Transmit the go code to all Alliance vessels. Remember, timing is everything." Across 3 star systems, 60 ships from 7 different species prepared for coordinated attacks on Concorde outposts. The human contribution was small in numbers but critical in capability. The Defiance and 5 other vessels carried newly developed radiation pulse weapons designed by technical specialist Grace Martinez. Grace watched nervously from her station as the weapons systems came online. The radiation pulse should disable their shields without permanently damaging the stations, she explained to Ryan. "It gives us a 20-second window to hit their critical systems." 20 seconds is all we need," Ryan replied. The Defiance dropped out of stealth mode directly in front of the largest Concorde outpost in the sector. Before the station could react, Grace activated the pulse weapon. A wave of concentrated radiation spread outward, washing over the station's shields. The protective barrier flickered and died. "All ships, attack pattern Omega," Ryan ordered. The human vessels launched precision strikes against communication arrays and weapon systems, while their allies targeted engines and sensor hubs. Within minutes, the station was defenseless. Ryan opened a channel to the station. "Concorde Outpost Delta, this is Commander Frost of the Liberty Alliance. Your station is under our control. Surrender and no one will be harmed." Similar scenes played out across Concorde space. By the operation's end, 17 outposts had been captured with minimal casualties on either side. The Alliance took thousands of prisoners and seized valuable technology and data. Most importantly, they acquired access codes to the quarantine beacons surrounding Earth. Captain Ben Harper led a fleet of 30 ships to dismantle the blockade. "Prepare for resistance," Ben warned his crews. "The Concorde will have these beacons heavily guarded." The battle was fierce. The Concorde response came faster and more violently than the Liberty Alliance anticipated. High Chancellor Vextol, determined to make an example of the rebellious species, assembled the largest battle fleet seen in generations. 500 warships converged on Nova Haven, humanity's hidden colony world. "They found us," Maria Blackwell announced to the colony's leadership council. The settlement had grown to over 20,000 people, including representatives from all Alliance species. "Evacuation is impossible. We need to defend our home." Defense Chief Laura Phillips had prepared for this day. A former military engineer with a gift for strategic planning, she had spent months developing Nova Haven's defensive systems. "We knew they'd find us eventually," Laura said calmly. "That's why we built this colony the way we did." When the Concorde fleet arrived, they encountered minimal resistance. A few defensive batteries fired from the surface, but were quickly silenced. Vextol himself led the attack from his command ship. "These humans thought their radiation tolerance would protect them," he told his officers. "Begin bombardment. Leave nothing alive." The first wave of Concorde ships descended into the atmosphere, weapons charging. What they didn't realize was that they were flying into a trap. Laura had designed the entire colony as a massive radiation snare. Now, she ordered from the underground command center. Hidden emitters across the planet's surface activated simultaneously, flooding the atmosphere with concentrated radiation. The levels were carefully calibrated, harmful to Concorde biology and systems, but survivable for humans with proper protection. The effect was devastating. Concorde ships lost power. Crew members collapsed at their stations. Within minutes, 30 vessels had crashed into the surface. The rest retreated to a safe distance. "Second phase," Laura commanded. Alliance ships that had been hiding in the planet's magnetic poles emerged, attacking the disorganized Concorde fleet. The battle lasted 3 days. The Liberty Alliance had achieved what once seemed impossible. They had fought the mighty galactic Concorde to a stalemate. After 2 years of conflict, both sides had suffered significant losses, but the balance of power had fundamentally shifted. Humanity now controlled a quarter of what had once been Concord territory. Alliance fleets moved freely through major trade routes. Most importantly, numerous Concord member species had declared neutrality or openly defected to the Alliance. President Eleanor Torres of the Earth Defense Alliance stood before the combined military and civilian leadership. Once a diplomacy professor, she had emerged as humanity's wartime leader, known for her clear thinking and firm resolve. "We've proven our strength," she told the assembled commanders. "Now we must end this conflict before more lives are lost on either side." The plan she approved was both bold and terrible. Using technology developed by combining knowledge from all Alliance species, humans had created radiation-enhanced warheads that could be positioned near key Concord worlds. These weapons wouldn't destroy planets, but could create radiation fields that would make them uninhabitable to Concord species for decades. "This is not a first-strike weapon," Eleanor emphasized. "This is our final deterrent." Stealth teams deployed the warheads near 20 major Concord systems. Once in position, Eleanor broadcast a message to the entire galaxy, to High Chancellor Vextol and the Galactic Concord Council. "Humanity did not start this conflict. We sought only to exist freely among the stars, a right you denied us and many others. We now possess the capability to render your core worlds uninhabitable through targeted radiation deployment." She paused, letting the magnitude of the threat sink in. "We do not wish to use these weapons. We propose an immediate ceasefire and recognition of the Liberty Alliance as a sovereign entity. All species must be free to determine their own path. The policy of quarantine and subjugation ends today." The Concord leadership was thrown into chaos by the announcement. Intelligence confirmed the warhead's existence, but many counselors couldn't believe humans would go so far. "It's a bluff," Vextol insisted. They wouldn't risk galactic war. To demonstrate that it wasn't a bluff, Tactical Commander Kyle Watson led a daring operation against Proxima Station, the Concord's most fortified military installation. His small fleet of 12 ships used revolutionary battle tactics that exploited the radiation weakness of Concord systems. "Standard formation until my mark," Kyle told his captains. "Remember your training. We hit fast, demonstrate our capabilities, and withdraw before they can mount a full response." The Battle of Proxima Station lasted just 4 hours. When it ended, the station's defenses lay in ruins, but Kyle had deliberately avoided casualties by targeting only military systems. Before withdrawing, he transmitted a simple message: "Next time, we won't hold back." The demonstration had its intended effect. Opposition to Vextol grew among the Concord leadership. The final blow to his authority came from an unexpected source. Zora Mitchell and Daniel Krause, human scientists who had been working undercover within the Concord for years, revealed themselves publicly. They presented evidence that Vextol had known from the beginning that humans posed no threat to galactic stability. The quarantine was never about safety, Zora announced in a transmission that reached every corner of Concord space. It was about control. Humanity was isolated because we represent everything the Concord fears: adaptability, innovation, and cooperation across species lines. Daniel added, "The Alliance has proven that different species can work together as equals, not under the Concord hierarchy that has kept so many worlds subjugated." Their defection, along with hundreds of other Concord citizens who had secretly supported the Alliance cause, created a political crisis that Vextol couldn't survive. The Council voted to remove him from power and open negotiations with President Torres. The peace talks were held on neutral ground, a space station constructed specifically for this purpose at the boundary between Alliance and Concord space. Eleanor led the Alliance delegation personally. "We don't seek the Concord's destruction," she told the new Concord representatives. "We seek a galaxy where all intelligent species can develop according to their own nature." After weeks of tense negotiation, the Treaty of Proxima was signed. The Concord recognized the Liberty Alliance and ended the policy of quarantine. In return, the Alliance removed their weapons and opened their technological advancements to all species. As Eleanor returned to Earth, she reflected on how far humanity had come. From being trapped in their own solar system to helping reshape the power structure of the galaxy. The legacy of unity. 5 years after the Treaty of Proxima, the galaxy had transformed in ways few could have imagined. The rigid hierarchy of the Concord had given way to a more fluid interstellar community where dozens of species interacted as equals. At the center of this new order stood the human-led Liberty Alliance, now expanded to include former Concord worlds. Andrew Hayes, son of a pioneer survivor, walked through the grand halls of Unity Station, the massive space habitat that served as the Alliance's headquarters. As a historian tasked with documenting the conflict that had reshaped galactic politics, he had spent months interviewing key figures from all species involved. The most surprising outcome wasn't our victory, Eleanor Torres told him during their final interview. The former president had stepped down after serving 2 terms, but remained influential in Alliance affairs. It was how quickly former enemies became partners once the old power structures fell. This was evident everywhere on Unity Station. Human engineers worked alongside Draxian architects, while Solani energy specialists collaborated with scientists from former Concord worlds. The technological exchange had accelerated development across all civilizations. In the station's memorial garden, Andrew paused before a wall listing those lost in the conflict. Among the names were many from the original Nova Haven colony and the brave crews who had first challenged the quarantine. They would be proud, said a voice behind him. Andrew turned to find Laura Phillips, the defense chief whose radiation trap had turned the tide at Nova Haven. Now older, she served as head of the Joint Security Council. "Do you think the peace will last?" Andrew asked her. Laura considered the question carefully. "Nothing lasts forever. But we've built something stronger than the Concord because it's based on choice rather than coercion." The most remarkable development had been the cultural exchange. Human art, music, and literature spread throughout allied worlds, while Earth eagerly absorbed alien cultural traditions. Mixed species families were becoming more common, especially on frontier worlds and space stations. Yet challenges remained. In distant sectors, hardline Concord loyalists maintained isolated enclaves, refusing to acknowledge the new order. Rumors persisted of military buildups and weapons development in these regions. Admiral Ryan Frost, now commanding the Alliance peacekeeping fleet, monitored these developments closely. "We maintain vigilance," he explained during Andrew's visit to fleet headquarters. "Peace requires strength and readiness. We won't be caught unprepared again." The greatest legacy of the conflict, however, was in education and research. The Nova Haven Academy had become the premier learning institution in known space, with students from over 40 species. There, the children of former enemies studied together, forming bonds that transcended old prejudices. Andrew visited the academy to observe a class taught by Dr. Olivia Ramsey, now elderly but still passionate about sharing knowledge. The Concord feared difference, she told her diverse students. They believed security came from control and uniformity. The Alliance proves that our differences make us stronger when we choose to work together. This philosophy extended to scientific discovery. The breakthrough technologies that had emerged from the conflict, radiation-enhanced systems, cross-species medical treatments, advanced propulsion, were now being applied to solving problems that affected all intelligent life. A joint expedition was preparing to explore beyond known space, crewed by representatives from 23 species, including humans. Their mission: to contact new civilizations with an offer of friendship rather than subjugation. As Andrew completed his historical account, he included a quote from Samuel Collins, the diplomat who had first forged the alliance with the Draxians. "Humanity's greatest contribution wasn't winning the war, but showing the galaxy a better way to live in peace." The final words of Andrew's history touched on the deeper meaning of the conflict. The stars had aligned for war, but humanity and their allies realigned them for unity. The galaxy will never return to what it was before. Whatever challenges the future holds, they will be faced not by isolated species, but by civilizations standing together in cooperation and mutual respect. This is humanity's true legacy among the stars.